Good afternoon and welcome to NextGen 8.3 Immunization Ordering and Administration Training. Remember, starting with NextGen version 5.8, immunizations ordered are now selected and processed in the NextGen Orders module. As you will notice, I have a patient that's actually already open. Remember, while you're in the test mode, you can utilize any patient for training purposes. You'll notice that I have selected from the SOAP screen. You have the ability to access the immunization from the SOAP screen. You can still select it from the intake screen, provided that's the template you're working on. You can still access it from a preferred template that you had in your template default. You can access it from your immunizations. And of course, you can access it from your orders module. For training purposes today, I'm going to access it from my orders module. You'll notice that it's the same exact area in the order summary area, which are where all of any labs that are ordered for NextGen are stored. And you'll notice under the tab for immunizations is where immunizations are stored and administered. From the home screen, you'll notice you can select to place a new order. You have the ability to select print to print an immunization summary. Under historical, you would click to administer any patient immunizations that were administered outside of Family Healthcare Associates. For example, perhaps maybe a pharmacy, maybe perhaps they administered from another physician outside of Family Healthcare and we have a chart that we're abstraction, or perhaps there are historical immunizations that were administered at Family Healthcare Associates prior to NextGen. You would select exclusions to document any immunization excluded. For example, maybe perhaps you have a patient who will never be able to have a flu vaccine because they have such a severe allergy to a flu serum, or perhaps maybe you have a patient that you want to exclude from getting a varicella shot because they've had the chicken pox. You have the ability to select web links to look at the immunization schedule, and you'll notice that the immunization template will default to the adult based on the age of the patient. So if it's an adult, it'll default to the adult. If it's a child, it'll default to the immunizations for pediatric. You'll also notice that you have the ability here to show the patient age given, and you'll notice you'll see the age by year and month. You also have the ability on the lower portion of the screen to select recommendations. And of course, this is a recommendation schedule for immunization based on CDC guidelines. To order a new vaccine, you'll select New Order. It will auto-populate a list of vaccines that are available for that specific age group. Please understand that while we're in the test environment, I provided a few vaccines for you to play with so you can order. But as you move into the production environment on our go live date, you'll notice that you'll have a complete order set of vaccines available. For purposes today, I'm going to order a flu vaccine by selecting the box next to the vaccine that I'm going to administer. And I could select whichever vaccine I wanted, but for today's purposes and training, I'm going to use just the standard 90658 for flu. You'll notice that just as soon as the first vaccine is ordered, it'll automatically default to review allergies. In this case, I'm going to select that the patient has no allergies, and I'm going to select save. You should only have that question asked once. I'm also going to go ahead and order a hepatitis A today because hepatitis A was due. I'm going to order a hepatitis B because hepatitis B was due. And I'm also going to order Zostavax. It's highlighted in red telling me it's due today based on the patient age. And perhaps I'm also going to order a Tdap. You'll notice as each one of the vaccines were ordered, it will automatically document the V code that's associated with that immunization. I can select Save in Task, which will give me a task recipient box to select to send it to maybe perhaps the nursing staff, or if the nursing staff were ordering it at doctor's guidelines, then they would just select Save. For purposes today of training, I'm going to go ahead and send it to a staff member to disposition. I've selected OK, and you'll now notice that it defaulted back to the orders module to give me a list of all the vaccines that were pending. So I'm going to double click on the pending vaccines, and you'll notice that auto defaults to the VIS disposition. VIS disposition for vaccine information statements are part of federal guideline. And on these particular vaccines, we are going to document the vaccine information statement as given. So I'm going to select document as given, but I could also print them as well. So I'm going to document as given, and you'll notice with the flu vaccine that I selected, or the Zostavax, you'll notice that it says the shingles vaccine was provided, the date it was given, and the VIS publication. Or the hepatitis B. And at this point in time, the flu vaccine is not documenting one because apparently I don't have an updated flu vaccine information statement in the system. But for documentation purposes, the first thing you'll notice is that I've highlighted flu vaccine. That's highlighted here, along with the CPT code. In our current version, as in the new version, we'll be expected to put a lot number, the sequence, expiration date, manufacturer, brand name. Then, of course, it'll select the route number and the route or the site. And, of course, we'll need to associate the billing code and the administration code for administration. One of the nice things about the new system and the new immunization module, as opposed to the immunization templates, is we have the ability to build out vaccine inventory. And for inventory purposes, I'm not referring to units given, I'm referring to being able to store and pre-populate the information for the individual vaccine that we're going to administer. So if you'll start with the lot number, you'll notice that I've actually built out some lot numbers here for demonstration purposes. If I have a vial and the lot number shown that I'm on the vial is the selected lot number, then you'll notice that it automatically filled out the manufacturer, the brand name. It put the amount that we're going to be administering for that specific age group. It put the route as being IM. I can select the location that I'm going to administer it, and automatically put the billing code and, of course, the CPT code, the 90471, for the administration of the first injection. And also document it as being completed as I put the site where it was administered. I can now go to the second vaccine, and I can highlight, and I can select the code lot number from the vaccine that I've selected, and I'm going to select this lot number, and I'm going to go ahead and document the site that I gave that, and I'm going to say that was the right deltoid. And you'll notice that the billing code for that vaccine, as well as the administration code, the 90472, because it's the second immunization, automatically defaulted. I can now go to, say, perhaps the Zostavax, and I can document the administration of the Zostavax. In this case, I'm not going to document an administration, I'm going to document the patient refused. So I have the ability, if you'll look under status, to slide over to where it says refuse and document refused, put the patient's decision, and I can put refusal comments as well under the comments and notes sections. At this point in time, I'm going to go ahead and save it. And as I save it, you'll notice when we move back into the orders module, the hepatitis A now shows to be current. The hepatitis B, I didn't document the hepatitis B, but I'm going to show you how to easily go back in and document the hepatitis B. I documented the immunization, and you'll see right here that the patient refused for the Zostavax. So if I forget to document something, all I have to do is double click, open, select the immunization I'm going to administer, the lot number, document exactly where I gave it. In this case, it's going to be the left deltoid. It still went ahead and defaulted to this immunization for the administration of 90472, and then I can save it. You'll now notice that the hepatitis B is documented, and it's telling me the next one is going to be due on 10/19 of 2015. You'll also have the ability from this template to document the historical. Of course, these are manually in any patient immunizations were administered outside of family healthcare associates or prior to next-gen EMR. So I'm going to select that, and this will be fully developed with all the different combinations of vaccines that you might administer for that specific age. And I'm going to select, maybe perhaps in this case, I'm going to document that this patient has had the pneumococcal. And I'm selecting pneumococcal, and I'm going to give a document. You'll notice that the date and the source are both highlighted in red. Those are required items. Then in this case, I'm going to document that the patient had it on 2013, December. As well as the source is being given by another provider. And I can also come in here, and while perhaps HPV is not one that I would normally give for this patient for demonstration purposes, I'm going to select HPV, and then I can document when the first one was administered, the second one was administered, and then where the third one's administered. And of course I have to document the source, and in this case I'm going to select other provider. And then I'll go ahead and save and close. And you'll notice now that the immunizations for the HPV are documented and showing that they're current. I also have the ability to document exclusions, so I'm going to select the exclusions. And in this case it's telling me with a little note that you have to highlight the immunization you want to exclude first, but I'm going to go ahead and exclude the Zostavax, because while the patient told me they refused it, while I was in the room and after I finished injecting, the patient basically told me that they can never have this vaccine because they're allergic to some specific component. So I'm going to go to exclusions. You'll notice that Zostavax is automatically selected, and I'm going to select that the patient has an allergy, and you'll notice that the effective date is selected as of today, and the end date is open. So perhaps if maybe this is a vaccine that you can't give because the patient's pregnant and it's a live vaccine, you could select to do the exclusion just based on a 9-month basis, or you can go ahead and select it based on a patient's refusal or immunosuppressed. In this case I'm going to say that they have an allergy, and then I'll go ahead and save that. And then normally whenever you save it, you'll now notice that it says excluded. I documented earlier that the patient refused it for training purposes, but the patient has now excluded it. To print the vaccine information statement, I'll select print preview. It'll take about 5 seconds for the individual vaccine information statement to populate. And you'll notice once the immunization summary report is populated, it selects from your history the last encounter and the doctor associated with that encounter. You'll also note that it puts any allergies that the patient has. You'll have the vaccine, the dose, the vaccine status is completed, the date that it was administered. We've also added a lot number for those that have documented the lot number, in provided the lot number is documented. Of course, anything that's been documented historically, you don't have the ability to put the lot number, but if it's administered in the office where we've completed the lot number, that information will document. And if it's being administered from a provider outside of Family Healthcare Associates, or you've selected another source, then it'll highlight that information. And you'll notice on the Zostavax, I excluded the Zoster vaccine, and it will show up as an excluded vaccine. Once you print your document, you'll select to print the report, select the individual printer that you'd like to print it, and in this case, and then you'll go ahead and just receive a little note that it's printing, and you'll close out. Once you hit refresh, you'll notice that this is the vaccine information statement as it appears on the patient history. There's the vaccine information statement, and this is the vaccine summary. You can always refer back to that. You'll also notice that under each individual vaccine, as I highlight it, the information regarding that vaccine will appear as the person who's entered it, who modified it. That completes the training for Immunizations Ordering and Administration 8.3.